It's about that time. Why did women's ice hockey only score 3 goals in this past weekend's matchup? Will they get revenge over Princeton this weekend? And basketball season is officially underway, so it's time to talk season predictions. We have the soccer gurus in the building, so of course that's on the agenda. Both men's and women's teams have ended their season, so how about best starting 11? It's time for Bobcat Breakdown. Welcome everyone and good evening. I am your host, Khalesia Smith. Alongside me, I have these soccer gurus themselves, Ben Kane and Roberto Casillas. Guys, it's Tuesday night, Bobcat Breakdown time. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling great, Kai. I don't know about Ben. I'm happy to share the desk for the first time with my Padawan, my apprentice, my #1 pupil. How are we doing tonight, Ben?
I'm fantastic. You know what they say? It's the master versus the apprentice. So it's the master versus the apprentice.
Yeah, and you better respect your elders, so let's give it a shot.
Well, master versus the apprentice, let's take it off on the ice. The women's ice hockey team matched up against RPI and Union this past weekend. They did win both games, 2-1 versus Union and 1-0 versus RPI, but the amount of goals they scored in both is of question. So guys, 3 goals in the total over the course of the weekend. They're typically blowing teams out. What's going on here?
You know what? You're the master. I'll respect my elders. I'll let you go first.
Thank you so much, Ben. And I'm just going to go ahead and start saying that I'm not really worried that they only scored 3 goals in 2 games. However, the reason for it, I think it's comes down to 2 big reasons. I think team chemistry was off, especially starting on Friday, because Alexa Hoskin didn't play, and she is the team leading scorer with 7 goals as of right now. So she didn't play against Union, and that also hindered other players in that line. Sadie Pert was hindered. She couldn't click as well. They both complement each other so well on the ice, especially on the offensive side, and it just wasn't clicking. And then when Hoskin did return the next day on Saturday against RPI, she just wasn't playing on the same line as Sadie Pert. So I don't know if Cass Turner was trying to shake things up a little bit and try something new, looking ahead to Princeton this next weekend. But I think that's one of the areas where they just weren't clicking as well. The other thing, power plays. 0 for 5 on the power play during the weekend. You're going to have to, first of all, try to get more opportunities on the power play and then be better. They were getting shots. They had 3 or 4 shots every time they were on the power play, but it just wasn't going in the back of the net. So I'm not worried, but and I think that they're going to go back. And again, they haven't lost a game all season, so I think they're going to be fine. But yeah, those are, I think, the reasons why maybe the goals weren't coming in bunches in those 2 games.
I'm going to take it to something I think I've trademarked. I don't think anyone else has said this before. I'm going to call
what
it
are you going to say?
It's the big dog effect. Quinnipiac are the big dogs. They're coming into these 2 games. They had 38 shots against Union, 32 shots against RPI. These teams are obviously the underdogs in this situation, and they're coming in. They really have nothing else to lose. They're kind of just throwing themselves in front of everything, trying to make sure they don't concede a goal. And as we can see, Quinnipiac only scored 3 goals in those games. And those keepers were fantastic as well for both Union and RPI. And in a league when Cass Turner said it was the most depthful and one of the most talented leagues, any team can come into your arena, or you can go into any team's arena and just try to nick a point or even 3 points in these games. And we're seeing this as these teams are testing Quinnipiac as they're playing very well. They're obviously the number 8 ranked team in the country, so we know they can pull off these wins, and they're still winning the games. So I'm not really concerned, and I just see that it's just interesting. Yeah,
it is interesting, and listen, I agree that ECAC hockey is dog eats dog conference. Like any team can win at any time, but I do think that Quinnipiac is still in good footing. Like I said, they still are yet to lose a game, so I think the goals will come back, and I think there's not that big of a reason to worry as of right now.
So with that being said, like Roberto mentioned, looking ahead to this weekend's matchup, Princeton. The last time these 2 teams met was back in the 2019-2020 season, right before the pandemic hit, at the ECAC Ice Hockey Tournament quarterfinals. They lost the first game, won in overtime in the second, and lost in overtime in the third. Ben, will the Bobcats get the revenge this weekend?
I'm gonna take it back to the big dog effect, but this time I think the roles kind of reversed here. I think Quinnipiac are going to be the underdogs going into this game. I think they're going to win both games against Princeton. Obviously, I'm going to say both.
On the road at Princeton. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay.
Obviously, the record against Princeton isn't the best. They're 16, 21, and 4. And their last lineup, as Kai said, was a 2-3 loss in overtime. But Quinnipiac have really improved since they've last played. They're ranked 8th in the country, and they got as high as 7th before when they weren't even ranked last time. Their offensive are attacking at a much higher rate than last season. They scored 44 goals already this year, and they only scored 62 in the whole of last season. And I know, before you say anything, I know you're going to say, oh, they didn't play as many games last season as they did this season because of the COVID season. But their defense has gotten a lot better. They've been able to bring in the likes of Corinne Schroeder, who's been one of the best goalkeepers for this Bobcats team. And they've also, in 4 less games than last season, they've allowed half the amount of goals. They allowed 15 so far this year, and they allowed 30 in the whole of last year. So they're getting better defensively, and I think it's going to be a good game, and I think Quinnipiac are going to win both.
Both? Wow. I mean, bold prediction. First of all, I don't think it's a revenge game. This game happened almost 2 years ago, so I think we have to take it a little back with the revenge. I think they're going to split the series. I think both teams will defend home turf, and they're going to win at home each, so they split. Both teams are yet to lose a game. Granted, Quinnipiac has 8 more games played this season already than Princeton, but Princeton still has a lot of quality in their roster. So, and I think that they're fresher. They're not as tested. They're just starting to get in the groove. And yes, Quinnipiac has started out hot, but either way, Princeton is still a very, very good team. And if you want to say revenge game, whatever, there's a key player for Princeton that is coming back, and she has caused trouble for Quinnipiac, and she caused trouble in those CCAC hockey quarterfinals in early 2020. Maggie Connors is there, and she had six points in 4. She had 6 points in 4 games to start the season. She wreaked havoc in ECAC hockey 2 seasons ago before Princeton withdrew, and every Ivy League team withdrew last year. She had 6 points already to start the year. And the last time in that ECAC quarterfinals, she scored 2 and had 3 assists in those 3 games. So she's still there. She's still lethal. So I think that, yes, Quinnipiac has, like you mentioned, you rattled out all the numbers. They've improved a lot since then. But I still think Princeton has quality, and I think that they're going to defend their home turf. I think they're going to split, and both teams will find their first losses of the year.
Speaking of causing trouble, moving over to the other side of the locker room, the men's ice hockey team took the road to their rivals in New Haven and then Providence, Rhode Island, to face up against Yale and Brown. They gained 2 shutout wins, defeating Yale 3-0 and Brown 1-0. Clearly, something is going right for the Bobcats. Roberto, what is it? Is it offense, is it defense, or is it both?
It's obviously a little bit of both. They've started out hot, and like you said, 2 shutouts last weekend. But I think the offense has really shown up in this early season. Quinnipiac took really good advantage of the transfer portal this offseason, and a lot of these key players. I want to focus on one, Oliver Chow. He's a reigning national champion, man. He was a part of the UMass team that won it all last year, and he's playing in that top line with Wyatt Bongiovanni and DeYoung. So they complement each other perfectly. Chow last year had 5 goals and 22 assists in 27 games, included an assist in the semifinal and in the national championship game. So he's been there and done that. And now he's back and he's a pass-first player. Put him next to Bongiovanni, who's a shoot-first player. That's a match made in heaven. I think that the depth that this team has on the offensive side it's incredible. Michael Lombardi, Ethan Lay, Tyson Malonic, Daisy Burgard, Josie Poloni. It just goes it's so deep. It's absurd. So I think that this offense, yes, they haven't clicked at all in the power play lately, but I think this offense is really good. And in the defense, you know I love me some Zach Metza and that bazooka that he has on that blue line. He's really, really good, but there's still creating a lot of, they have turnover issues that they still have to get better at. Peretz has been great as a goalie, another one that they got in the transfer portal to start the games, but I think this offense is really good, and is what gets me excited about the future of this season.
I'm going to take a different approach here. I think it's the defense that's actually doing well for these Bobcats. We've seen the last, pretty much the whole season in 10 games. In only 2 of those games, they've allowed 20-plus shots from their opponents. And in 4 of those games, they've allowed 15 or less shots. So they're obviously playing well defensively. They're learning how to cut into those passing lanes, how to throw themselves in front of the puck, try to block it. But another player that I was highly critical of a few weeks ago on Breakdown was Yaniv Peretz. I thought that Dylan St. Cyr should... I made a bold take that I said Dylan St. Cyr...
You're known for your bold takes.
I am very known for my bold takes. But I thought that St. Cyr should come into this lineup. He has more experience. He's played a lot more college hockey. And he comes in and he just takes the starting spot. And I was critical of how Peretz moves the puck. But we've seen Peretz, he's a lot more comfortable. He's playing within the crease, but he's learning how to make those more tactical decisions, and he's saving the shots as well. He was ECAC goaltender of the week last week, so I think it's more of defensively, as well as he was also top 3 in the country in save percentage for this past season. So I think it's very defensive team.
Just started. Okay, I agree. Yes, now he's a superstar. And 2 weeks ago, you were repping him defense. Very interesting from you. But I agree the defense has been really good. But I think that moving forward, it's going to be the offense that determines how far this team goes.
Now heading over to the hardwood, basketball season is here. The women's basketball team had their season opener this evening. The Bobcats took the road to Bronx, New York to match up against Fordham Rams. To talk more on the team and their season, we have women's basketball beat reporter AJ Fenor here in studio to go over or offside over his season predictions and a recap of tonight's season opener.
Yeah, Kai, Bobcat basketball is back. The women's team traveled to New York tonight to take on Fordham to kick off their non-conference play. And although the women's team didn't get the result they wanted, a 79-71 overtime loss, Coach Fabry still has a lot to be happy about, especially regarding her big 3. Michaela Morris had 15 points and 9 rebounds, Mackenzie Deweese 15.7 rebounds, and Rose Caverly a team-high 16 points, including a game-tying 3 with 2 seconds left in regulation. Now some things Coach Fabry won't be happy about. The Bobcats gave up 17 offensive rebounds, leading to 23 second chance points for Fordham. That's where Michaela Morris, C.T. Hayward are going to have to come in and really guard that post, and grab those rebounds. Also, Bobcats shot 10 of 18 from the free throw line from the fourth quarter and overtime combined. Now, I'm no math magician, but miss 8 free throws, lose by 8 points. I'll let you guys do the rest. Now, although they did lose this game, it does not affect the MAC standings. So I think when all is said and done in March, this Bobcats team will be the #1 seed heading into the MAC tournament, and I think they can win it all. Preseason MAC coaches poll had them ranked at #1. ESPN unanimously ranked them at #1 going in, and they were number 16 in the mid-majors top 25 poll according to College Insider. They're the only MAC team ranked on that poll. They're returning 11 players from last year, and Coach Fabry said that their depth is their biggest weapon, so they definitely have to use that. This team wants it more. They're miles ahead of any other team, both sides of the floor. I think biggest player to watch for the Bobcats this season, junior Michaela Morris. She averaged a double-double last year, and her 10.7 rebounds were 24th highest in the whole country. She's unanimous preseason MAC all first-team selection. She's not only going to have to be a vocal voice and a leader for the first years, but for all the players as well. Now, the underdog this season, it's not a player, it's the fans. There hasn't been fans in the People's United Center since February 29th of 2020. The fans really motivate the players and just have them momentum. The players love playing for them and playing for the logo. I think when the bottom line, I think when it comes to March, this team is hungry. They're on a redemption tour. They want it more than any other team. Coach Fabry says they're hungry. The players said they're hungry. And this team will not be satisfied until they're cutting down the nets in March. I will send it back to the desk.
Alrighty, thanks AJ. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, it's going to be all about what these guys love, and that's soccer. Be back in 2 minutes.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response
response time, which can be really dangerous. It's here. It's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Jules, spot me on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Welcome back to Studio 125. Thanks for sticking with us. Let's jump right back into it and talk some soccer. The men's and women's soccer team recently ended their seasons. The men's ended against St. Peter's, losing 1-2 in the regular season conference play, and women's wrapped up their season against Monmouth, falling 0-4 in the MAC Tournament Championship on Sunday. So guys, I know you have watched plenty of the games over the course of both seasons. You have seen the good ones and the bad, the unstoppable plays and players. Let's talk starting 11. Who would be your best starting 11 from the men's and women's teams?
I mean, I think you got to start it off with the goalie, and I'm going to assume that we both agree on this.
I think we do have the same goalie.
Yeah. So our goalie, I'm assuming, is going to be Sofia Lo-Espinoso.
Yep.
All-MAC second team for the women's team. She comes into this team midway through the season, and I think she just kept getting more confident as the year went on. Obviously, coming into a back line as a goalkeeper, it's a bit difficult. You have to learn how to have that chemistry with your players, your back line. But she did that excellently. We saw as the games went on. She was more comfortable with the likes of Olivia Scott or Lauren Triglione, getting the ball back into her feet. And she was able to distribute it more rather than just get it down the field, which kind of just shows a lot more confidence in her. And it's something which is why I picked her for my goalie.
What stuck out to me, especially watching her play, is you mentioned it, you touched on it, it's and the way she's able to play with her feet. Not a lot of goalkeepers can do that, and she beat Megan Phillips for the job, who's also a great goalkeeper. So that just shows the quality that Lo-Espinoso has, and I think she got a terrific season.
I mean, also her reflexes as well. We've seen some of the saves she's made where she's on the opposite side of the goal, and you just see her flying across, diving to make incredible saves. And
Defenders, I'll start. My back line, my four in the back. I got Kyla Migachos.
Okay.
And as one of the as a right back, if you want to put it. I got Lauren Triglione and Olivia Scott, and I got Jordan Bennett. I think this is a very solid back line. I know Luke Allen, Herning Weigand, also good players, but I don't think they had their best season. Lauren Triglione, the leader, the absolute leader of that women's team that made it to the MAC Championship final. Olivia Scott, you can play her.
She's a brick wall.
Yeah, she's a brick wall, and you can play her everywhere on the field. And now she's as a center back. I remember she was playing as a number 10 earlier in her career here. So Kayla Mingacho is also an amazing player. She whips in corners, and she's basically the women's team version of Jordan Bennett on the other side, who is going to get there, going to whip in those crosses, going to create chances, and also is going to be very, very stout on defense. So I think you can't go wrong with my MAC 4. If you have something different, I would be very surprised because it's not as good as mine.
I mean, I know you said you can't go wrong, but I think you went wrong. I kind of went a different formation. You know I love my formations. I went with a 3-back, actually.
Are you
I have
kidding me?
Griffin Scalia, Olivia Scott, and Jordan Bennett. Scalia and Olivia Scott have basically been brick walls, and I know you're going to say Lauren Triglione.
How is Lauren Triglione not in this formation?
I think the two center backs that I have in this lineup are a lot better with their feet. They're obviously very good aerially. Lauren Triglione, she's very good in the air, but I think these two are a little bit better.
And her leadership. I think you're not taking into account the leadership aspect of it.
From what I've seen, it's how I would, if I was a coach, because we all know my ambitions, I would love to coach. And I think the players that I have in this team, they're more passing forward rather than just kind of clearing the ball. And Lauren Triglione, when she gets under pressure sometimes, she kind of just looks for that long ball just to relieve her team. And I'd like to see them kind of build up, create those triangles in the midfield. And with the likes of Olivia Scott and Griffin Scaler, they're able to do that. And we both agree on Jordan Bennett. I think that's fair. He's kind of become a revelation for this team. I honestly have him as an unsung hero. He's able to play on the wing, 5 assists on the season, left or right. He gets those crosses in, but he can also get down the field, and he's a very good one-on-one.
If you want to become a coach, I think that Dave Clark and Eric DaCosta can go to sleep very calmly at night because I don't think you're going to take their job anytime soon. All right, moving on to my midfield. I got 3 midfielders. I got Paula Suarez in that holding role, and I have Selena Salas and Markela Baileri right next to him. Paulo Suarez, he was probably the most solid piece of the men's soccer team this year. And then he can orchestrate the midfield, and then he can just let those two in front, Salas and Baileri, who has so much quality, just roam around free in that midfield, move around, find the pockets of space, and they are so technically gifted. We saw that just on the weekend, how on the second half when Quinnipiac needed a goal, it was basically give the ball to Salas, give the ball to Baileri, and they're gonna create chances. So I think once again, I have no idea how you can go with another midfield group than this. I know you're probably gonna have like 5, but I'm pretty confident that this is the best 3 that I can find.
I mean, you can call it a 5, you can call it a 4. It's a bit interesting. I had the 3 players that you have, but I also had one more. I have someone sitting right in front of my defenders. I have Anna Costello on this team. She's started off the season not really playing too much, and then as the season went on, Dave Clark got more trust in her. She kind of was like a bull in this midfield.
She was.
I know you're a big Chelsea fan, obviously. She reminds me of the likes of Nemanja Matic, a name you know very well.
You say you're a Chelsea fan, and you name a Man U player? Come on. But anyways,
well, he did play for Chelsea, but she reminds me of Matic, a bit of Rodri in the midfield, kind of gets the ball quickly and is able to distribute it, not afraid to drop it back. And she's just become more and more confident in this team, and I think she's going to be amazing for them down the road, especially with the likes of Baileri lining up to her. And we've seen how much Baileri has improved this season, so I think it's going to be a really good dynamic going forward.
I agree, and she was my surprise player of the year, Anna Costello. She beat out Flor Courtier for the job. We barely saw Courtier this year. And yeah, you're right. She did all the dirty work so that those players, Salas and Baileri in front of her, could just play and concentrate on creating chances. So I wish I could argue with you more, but it's okay. My front 3, Brock Austin, Rebecca Cook, and Sam McCann. Brock Austin was, to me, the best player on the MAC, which is so, it hurts to say because we didn't get a chance to see him on the playoffs, but every time he touched the ball, it was magic waiting to happen. Rebecca Cook, she's just the best scorer that we've seen here in a while, and her ability, her power, she's so powerful. She's able to make those runs, and she's so cool and collected when she has to finish. And Sam McCann, my personal revelation of the season, my brightest spot, something to look for the future with this men's team. His energy, his ability to play off the ball, his ability to go fight and do the dirty work, to get those chances when people may have think that the play is over. I think his energy is something that is so good, and I think he is going to be really well, especially pairing him up with Bragg Aston in the future.
Yeah, before I even get into mine, I'm just going to talk about Sam McCann, obviously. When you have the likes of someone who plays the exact same way as David Bercedo, nothing really needs to change for this Eric DaCosta team, where he has basically the same player for the next few years as well once Bercedo transitions out. So it'll be interesting to see how he can get on.
I think he's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, he's scored a decent amount of goals this season as well, so it'll be interesting. But my front 3, I've kind of got a diamond. I love my formations, so I have Brock Austin kind of playing at the point, and then I have Rebecca Cook on one side and Emily Loney on the other side.
Surprised you didn't put Rebecca Cook at right back.
I actually do have in my notes that I do think she's going to transition to right back very, very soon. As Dave Clark did say, internationally, that is her best position. But I have Rebecca Cook in there to kind of just get the ball and shoot. And that's all she really needs to do. She can beat her man if she has to, but she can take that long shot, as well as Brock Austin. And we know Brock Austin probably has some of the best technical footwork in the MAC, as well as
by far.
As I put, he is one of the most groovy players I've seen in the MAC. Not all on the ball, but as well as his celebrations. I love watching him. And Emily Loney, also, she beat out McCann and Bercedo because she not only can quickly get to a player and kind of slow the play down, but she's also really good in the air, and she can hold the ball up very well for the likes of Rebecca Cook, Olivia Kudryko, to get wide. 2 goals, 1 assist on the season. Although those numbers don't really show how much she's played, I think she's the perfect spot for this
All right, well, I wish we could find a way to play a scrimmage, clone these players, and play 11 on 11, and I would be very confident that my team would win.
I don't know about that, but
I'm pretty sure.
Well, there you have it, folks. The soccer gurus have spoken. We're going to take one last commercial break, but when we come back, it's Game of the Week time, and of course, Final Wars.
room, Kevin. Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on, man, let's split a ride home.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Thanks for continuing to stick with us. Now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Final Roars, Ben, take it away.
There's a new era in Hamden. Well, kind of. 2 years ago, the men's basketball team said goodbye to the nation's leader in rebounding and gave the 7'1" center from Philly the starting job. Seth Pinckney went on to register 8 points per game, almost 5 rebounds, and led the team in blocks during this season. Pinckney, however, is gone now, and Kevin Marfo is back after a year at Texas A&M. Marfo joins a Bobcat team with a major chip on their shoulders. Having been projected to finish 9th in the MAC, the Bobcats are looking to prove the haters wrong and really make a run at the MAC title. With the defensive abilities as Kevin Marfo, the consistent three-point shot of Jacob Bergoni, who is also returning for an extra year, and an extra year of experience under the belt for star guards Taimu Chenry and Lewis Courtright, the Bobcats have a really good chance if they can get hot early, and I'm genuinely excited to see how this team plays.
If you've been paying attention to Quinnipiac athletics in the past week, you know that the Quinnipiac women's soccer team went down to Jersey and lost the MAC championship game 4-0 against Monmouth. For a lot of you, you probably think that this season was a failure, that the team once again came up against the same old roadblock and history repeated itself. I think otherwise. I think that people in the university need to start paying real close attention to what Dave Clark, his staff, and the program is doing. Over the past 4 years, the Quinnipiac women's soccer team has gone from a team that just kind of wanted to make the playoffs to one that is cemented as one of the powers of the conference. But the thing that's impressed me the most is the how. This team isn't just an ordinary MAC soccer team. They play quality soccer. They have incredibly tactically gifted players who are also technically sound. Their recruitment in the past 4 years has been nothing short of sensational. When I look back on the first game I covered and I compare it to the last one, it's night and day. They've come a long, long way. The results have also improved little by little in these 4 years. You know, quarterfinals, semifinals, semifinal, final. So yes, perhaps Mom is still on another level. But if the women's soccer program continues on the path they are headed, there's reason to believe that the next MAC women's soccer dynasty can be for that team in white, blue, and gold.
Since the women's basketball team has officially started their season, I wanted to highlight the true legacy that this program holds. There is history behind this Quinnipiac women's basketball team. Coach Chitra Fabry leading her team to several NCAA tournament appearances, a Sweet 16 appearance, several MAC regular season championships, and MAC tournament championships. A plethora of MAC player awards as current players Mackenzie DeWeese and Michaela Morris are the reigning player and defensive players of the year. Last year, the season ended in what I can say for myself and pretty sure a lot of people, unexpectedly. They lost in their very first round of the MAC tournament against Rider, a team that they were expected to win against. But hey, it's a new season with a fresh new team with vets and rookies and just a team that is filled with so much potential with first year Raven Douglas and transfer Mackenzie Helms and more. They have been selected first in the MAC preseason poll alongside Morris and DeWeese obtaining preseason All-MAC first team and Rose Cavalier obtaining All-MAC third team. They were also tabbed as number 16 in the top 25 collegiate insider poll. So make sure you keep this team on your radar because I'm sure you will be hearing a lot about them this winter season. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight. To stay up to date on all of our content and all things Quinnipiac sports, be sure to check out our website at Q30TV.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports From the producers, everyone behind the scenes, to my soccer gurus, Roberto and Ben, and myself, your host, Kylie C.S. Smith, we thank you for watching. See you next week.